Welcome to Fix It Home Improvement, covering projects that every homeowner should know and great products for home and garden.
Hi, I'm JC, and this is where we share weekly home improvement tips. I'm here with my co-host, Cindy.
Hello, JC.
Hi, Cindy. Today we're going to be talking about poison ivy, poison oak, and poison sumac.
Exciting.
We'd like to thank Troy Markling for sharing and liking the podcast. The first public reports of poison ivy were found in the 1600s.
In ancient Egypt?
In U.S. And the early U.S. settlers were sending plants and seeds back to Europe for the English royal gardens.
Whoops.
And then by the 1800s, botanists started suggesting keeping all this poison ivy stuff out of ornamental gardens.
Yeah, keep it to yourself.
Poison ivy is in the same plant family as cashews and mangoes. And in cashews, you have that chemical that makes you itch or break out in the shells, and in mangoes, it's in the rind.
Really?
In California, Indian tribes protect these old, ancient burial grounds with poison oak, surrounding the whole area with poison oak so people don't mess with it. Mm-hmm. And native tribes called it the stick that makes you sore. One of the most common allergies is an allergy to poison ivy, oak, and sumac. And about 85 to 90% of the population is allergic to the oil in these plants.
Interesting.
It's called urushiol. And 15% of people that are allergic are highly sensitive, and they can break out in a rash and blisters within 4 hours.
That doesn't sound fun.
Their eyes can swell shut, and they have trouble breathing and swallowing, so they need a shot of corticosteroids. Most people are going to get a rash within 24 to 48 hours after exposure, and an amount the size of a grain of salt will cause a reaction in most people.
How terrible is that?
Isn't that amazing? And the oil actually isn't the thing that's irritating or burning your skin. It starts a chain reaction in your immune system, so it's absorbed into the skin cell, and then your body's reaction to it, the immune response, is actually what's causing that rash and then blisters.
Stupid body.
And once you get this rash, it can take most people 2 to 3 weeks before you're over it.
Oh, that's terrible. I didn't know that.
From something the size of a grain of salt. With poison ivy, every part of the plant has this urushiol oil in it, and the roots can have as much as 1,000 times the amount. You never want to burn these plants because the smoke will contain that oil, and it can cause a reaction in your lungs and your throat, which is dangerous, and in some people that are sensitive, it's deadly.
Really? Well, when we started the research on it, everything said don't burn it, and I was wondering why.
Yeah, wow, because anywhere that oil touches, it creates this immune response. And people and primates seem to be the only ones affected. It doesn't seem to bother dogs or cats, most other animals.
Oh, lucky us.
And especially with birds, the berries are very popular. It's a popular part of their food source in some areas. And the problem with pets, if you don't control the growth around your home, the oil can get deposited on their fur. And then when you pet them, you get it on your skin.
And they're rolling around on your furniture.
Yeah, and that oil will stay active for up to 5 years on any surface, even on dead plants.
Oh, nice.
If you come in contact with any of these plants, you have to wash it off within 5 minutes to reduce the chance of a rash, because it has to, you got to get off before it absorbs into the skin.
It's hard to do if you're walking in the forest, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're camping, you definitely need a kit, like something to wash it off with. So you can use soap and water or hand cleaners, and they found that goop, so they did a couple studies of different products, and goop, so like, what you'd get in a hardware store, was found to be effective in a couple of these studies because it removes oil, and this urushiol is an oil-based substance.
So you should just carry around a tub of this?
Absolutely. The little packets.
Yeah.
And then rubbing alcohol was found to dissolve the oil. There's a product called Tecnu, Tecnu, and this is an outdoor skin cleaner, and this is used to remove that oil. If it gets on your exposed skin, they say to rub your skin for at least 2 minutes with this Tecnu. And they have something called rash relief if you have a reaction. So they've got one product to clean your skin, and then if you didn't clean it quick enough or long enough, then they've got another product that will help with the rash relief. The American Academy of Dermatology recommends if you're working outside and come in contact with poison ivy, oak, or sumac, that you immediately run in and wash your body with warm soapy water, wash your clothes, wash any tools, pets, or objects you had.
You just created a whole lot of work for yourself.
If you get a rash, use calamine lotion or hydrocortisone cream. Apply cool compresses to the skin. And then some people, they say, respond really well to an antihistamine. Mm-hmm. And if the rash doesn't improve in 7 to 10 days, that you should see a doctor. A couple medical sites I was looking at suggest a 50-50 cold vinegar and water solution on a cloth and then just continually dab it on your rash.
Oh, so you're going to smell great.
Or a cold milk compress for any rashes on your face. And then a fan blowing over a cool compress, they say, that helps if you have rashes and blisters that are oozing, because I guess a lot of people really get a reaction to this, that's very effective. And then rubbing ice on your rash a few times a day will help. Soaking in a tub with Aveeno, so it's Aveeno, and this uses oatmeal. This was found to be a good cleaner, a moisturizer, and an anti-inflammatory. Mm-hmm. Calamine lotion is recommended a lot, and there's a lot of different formulas, but the main ingredient is zinc oxide, and they use zinc oxide in diaper rash creams, sunscreen, anti-dandruff shampoos, and they've been using it in the U.S. since about the 1930s, but it was used in India as far back as 500 BC for wounds.
Interesting.
What's funny is in 1992, the FDA said there's no scientific proof that calamine lotion is effective for bug bites or poison ivy, oak, or sumac. And then there's a new report in 2008, and the FDA says we now recommend calamine lotion for poison ivy, oak, sumac, and bug bites.
And chicken pox.
One other recommendation was a paste of baking soda and water is very soothing for some people.
Are we going to talk about what it looks like?
So a lot of
Not calamine lotion, what these plants look like.
So like poison ivy, it's weird. It can have a variety of looks that change from season to season. As it gets older, it can change, and the leaves can vary in shape, even on the same plant.
Really?
So it's pretty wild doing the research on this. It's like, look like 15 different plants. So the edges of the leaves can be either smooth or scalloped or have irregular edges. Mm-hmm. But the key thing is the leaves are grouped in clusters of 3. So in 1902, they had this rhyme, fingers of 3, turn and flee. So that's when that was coined.
Screaming in the other direction.
So in 1907, leaves of 3, leave them be. Leaves of 5, let them thrive. So, most other plants have little groups of 5. Mm-hmm. So one stem, you've got 3 leaves coming out of it. In spring, the leaves can be red or orange. In summer, they're green. And then in fall, they can be red, orange, or yellow, which is really amazing. And then in winter, the leaves drop off. In the summer, it produces small green flowers and then white berries. So another old rhyme is berries white, run in fright. Or berries white, poisonous sight. Berries red, have no dread. What's also unique about poison ivy is it can grow into a low shrub.
A what?
A shrubbery.
A shrubbery?
Or a vine that can grow along the ground, or a vine that climbs up like trees and fences.
So it could look like anything?
It's wild. And it can grow just about anywhere except desert areas. But the key thing that you're looking for are these alternate clusters of 3 leaves that grow on their own stem, and there's no thorns. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says that poison ivy, sumac, and oak are getting bigger and more potent, and they blame it on the increased amounts of carbon dioxide in the air. So the plants take this in, they convert it to sugars for growth, and they're becoming much more vigorous.
Super plants?
Super poison ivy. For poison sumac, this grows into a tall shrub about 5...
I've never heard of sumac, by the way. Poisonous or otherwise.
Okay, well, it's this tall shrub, about 5 feet tall, or it can be up to 30 feet tall, so it's considered a small tree.
That's not small.
30 feet tall?
Yeah.
That's rather than like an 80-foot tree.
Oh, yeah, like a giant sequoia.
Each stem has 7 to 13 leaves, only 2 to 4 inches long, and it has 2 parallel rows of leaves side by side on the stem. So, and they can overlap. They can almost look like a bird's wing. And when the plant is young, the stems are red to brown, and then as it ages, it turns brown to gray. And you probably should look this up online. to get a feel for what it looks like.
Since that was a really vague description.
In the spring, the leaves are orange. Summer, it's green to red by the end of the season, and then in winter, there's no leaves. And they have yellow or green flowers and green or yellow berries.
Do you have a nursery rhyme for this?
No, I don't. I'll work on one for next week. With poison oak, it can look like a shrub or a vine, and the leaves look very similar to poison ivy, so they have groups of 3 on one stem. And some plants, though, can vary to 7 or 9 leaves. So it's amazing how they don't have just a standard look on a lot of these plants.
So basically don't touch anything.
Yeah, outside. Well, we talked about 7% of your time outside. Maybe you need less.
Or in a hazmat suit.
So poison oak is primarily on the west coast of the U.S. and then the lower half of the U.S. In spring, the leaves are green or red. In summer, they're green. And then in fall, for poison oak, they're red and orange. In spring, they have greenish-white flowers. In summer, white berries. Again, very similar to poison ivy. Early settlers thought that the American Indians were immune to poison oak. So the Indians would tell them that the best way to build up an immunity is to smoke the plants.
Roll around in it, too.
Yeah, I'll show you how to build up an immunity.
So if you notice this in your lawn, how do you get rid of it?
So you can either use chemicals or just pull them out. And if you're pulling it, most pros recommend wearing thick rubber gloves, goggles, old disposable clothes, or disposable coverall. And then if you plan on reusing your work clothes, most pros recommend washing them twice. So that oil, it sticks to everything. Lasts for years.
Go to a laundromat and...
Nice. You want to duct tape your shirt to your gloves. You want to cover your neck, button all the way up to your neck. You want to duct tape your pants around your socks. And then make sure you wear...
If you see your neighbors doing this, don't make fun of them.
Take a look at that plant.
Yeah.
Long sleeve shirts, long pants. Use shears or pruners. And you want to cut these plants down to ground level. And then you want to dig them out. When you're digging out the roots, you want to get at least 10 inches under the plant, because if you leave enough of the root, it'll grow back. And one interesting tool I saw is called Root Jack. So it's ROOTJACK. And this is a plant puller. It has 2 rotating cams that you lower around the base of the plant, and then it has a long handle and a metal lever on the bottom, so you can pry out the whole root structure.
Oh, that's nice, because the roots are really poisonous, right?
Yeah, it can be 1,000 times the amount of urushiol. And also, with something like this, if you are trying to pull it by the roots with a tool like this, I would say soak the ground thoroughly, like with a hose, to soften up the dirt. And then you want to put these plants and all the parts that you cut up into cardboard boxes or plastic bags or yard waste bags. You do not want to compost these, shred them, or burn them. So if you have disposable clothes, throw them out. You want to wash off all your tools with rubbing alcohol. You can use goop or soap and water. That oil is going to be hanging around for years, so you want to make sure that you're cleaning everything. And some plants...
Take it all to like a car wash?
There you go. And just monitor this throughout the year, because you want to make sure that you've got all the roots.
Right.
If you don't physically want to dig it out or pull them out, you can put boiling water on the plants. Another recipe for a less toxic chemical spray is 3 pounds of salt, 1 gallon of water, and a 1/4 cup of dishwashing soap.
And a dash of pepper.
And this will kill anything green. So you put it into like a spray can or spray bottles and saturate the plants.
3 pounds of salt.
And that 3 pounds will kill about anything. Another formula was a gallon of white vinegar, and they said that it works more effectively if you boil it or get it very hot. Add a cup of salt, a few tablespoons of dish soap, and again with a spray bottle, go after the plants. You want to be a little careful, just soaking the leaves and soaking the plant. You don't want to get too much in the soil, because too much salt in the soil is going to prevent other plants from growing properly. Plants do not like salt.
Shocking.
An organic herbicide you can get is St. Gabriel Labs. They have a poison ivy defoliant, and this uses clove oil, vinegar, and citric acid. And this is OMRI listed. So this is the Organic Materials Review Institute, and this is a nonprofit organization that tests products to make sure they're truly organic. Dr. Earth has a product called Weed and Grass Herbicide, and this uses essential oils and garlic to kill anything green, and poison ivy, poison oak was listed on this. Popular herbicides are Ortho, Roundup, Bayer Advanced, and Bonide. And the most common chemicals they use are 2,4-D, glyphosate, or triclopyr. If you get a product that has triclopyr, so it's TRICLOPYR, this is going to kill all broadleafed weeds, kills poison ivy. They say it has very low or very little impact on lawn grass. So this is nice if you have stuff around your fences and you're trying to kill that.
Right.
You have less worry about overspray on your grass.
Or if it's in the middle of your lawn.
Right, yeah, big poison ivy right in the middle. It's slightly toxic to birds. It's non-toxic to bees, but highly toxic to fish. So you need to be aware of that depending on what you have in your lawn.
Mm-hmm.
If you see a product with 2,4-D, this is the abbreviation for dichlorophenoxyacetic acid, and this is one of the oldest and widely used herbicides. Been around since 1945, and this kills broadleaf weeds, and most grass is unaffected by the overspray.
Interesting.
And the EPA says it has low toxicity to people, to bees. The EPA says it's moderate toxicity to birds, mammal, and fish. And this was developed in World War II. So Britain and U.S. were trying to figure out a way to starve out Germany and Japan. So they're trying to create these chemicals to spray on their crops.
Mm-hmm.
And they found that it wasn't very good at killing potatoes and rice, but it was very good at killing broadleaf weeds. And so one of the first chemicals that came onto the market in 1945 was Weed Done. And then if you see a product with glyphosate, so it's GLYPHOSATE, this was developed in the 1970s by Monsanto, and so this is Roundup, and this gets absorbed through the leaves to kill the plant. And very little is absorbed through the roots, but this will kill most weeds and grass. So you definitely don't want to use this in your lawn, or you have to be very careful with your overspray because it's basically going to kill anything green. It's considered to have low toxicity to moderate toxicity depending on the source. And then with this, there's been a lot of controversy with the long-term effects in humans, but they say it's very low toxicity to animals and fish.
Do you have anything else to add?
I would say go online and take a look at what all these things look like, because it can be a variety of different shapes and sizes. It's wild. It can go from bushes to trees to vines.
And change colors.
And shape, even on the same plant. So pretty amazing. And then check your lawn or around your lawn frequently during the summer for poison ivy, sumac, and oak. Mm-hmm. If you plan on pulling up weeds, make sure you're protecting your skin. Wash your tools thoroughly. If you're using chemicals, I would probably start with the least toxic and then work your way up. What's nice is they really have some unique organic herbicides now that you can use. If you're going camping, I would get that Technu skin cleaner or Goop and bring it along. That way you can wash off your skin and your gear.
And duct tape.
Duct tape for just your whole body?
Yeah, no, just to tap down your clothes.
Calamine lotion is handy, and this will, it's good for insect bites, sunburns, and then if you get any of this oil on you, then get a water filter too.
Let's wrap this up.
You can subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or the mobile Spotify app.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a review.
You can check out our home improvement videos on our YouTube channel, Fix It Home Improvement.
And you can subscribe to that as well.
You can download our book, Home Improvement Solutions, What Every Homeowner Should Know, on Amazon.
If you enjoyed it, please leave us a 5-star rating and review.
You can email us at fixitpodcast@gmail.com.
Thank you for listening.
Talk to you next week.